Welcome back, everyone, to Mixed Media Dude. Today, I'm going to take you on another step-by-step piece where I'm going to incorporate using a non-objective art with abstraction, but also some realism sprinkled in at the end. And we'll start right now with a brand new blank sheet of paper. Okay, today I thought I would start right in with just getting paper wet. I'm going to start bringing in some acrylic ink, and it really reacts well with water, and it gives you a certain amount of bleeding as I go through this. While the paper's wet, I'm going to bring in also a nib pen, and this can create some interesting line, as some of it will be fairly straight, but other parts of it will kind of blend and kind of fade as I draw through it. And here I'm going to add just a little bit of pinkish crimson ink, which will also bleed out into the blue that I just put on the paper. Of course, much of this is a waiting game as we layer different parts of the image, and I'm always looking to see what the bleeds will look like when it dries, and then you can do this several times as you continue looking for different aspects to go into later on. This is very abstract starting off, but I will start to bring some sort of realistic image to the composition. And here I'm back with a nib pen. Really love using these on wet surfaces because you can get some dryness where the line is very clear and sharp. Yet when you hit the water, of course, it goes into bleeding. You can see the flower shape on the right has really started to bleed out and go more abstract, yet here the one on the left is retaining a bit of its clarity. My intent is starting to look a little clearer. I'm going definitely more towards a garden theme of some sort, some kind of floral arrangement. Just walking through botanical gardens has always been an interest of mine, and this is kind of coming into play now as I start to bring the pink back in. It's starting to interact with the blue. The purples are definitely starting to come into play as well. I'm trying to address each side of the picture Sometimes I go down to the bottom, sometimes I go to the right, trying to balance out the composition with shape and color. So far I've stuck with acrylic ink, but now I'm bringing in watercolor and a little bit of gouache. It definitely has a different look and tone compared to the bright acrylic. Also with the watercolor and gouache, I'm attempting to kind of have a little bit of a push-pull impact where I can get some of these shapes to recede and some to come forward just by adding a certain amount of shading. I've been talking to my students this week about Art Nouveau and all the floral and dragonflies and zigzag curve shapes that often is in that design. So maybe I'm influenced by that a bit this week. And here I'm going to get closer, and just by getting closer, it gets a lot more abstract just for the viewer here. But I want to pull in here so you can see the little lines I'm adding with my nib pen. And it is dry now, so the clarity of the line is a little more pronounced. And as we pull back here, I'm going to bring out another medium, which is the water-soluble pastel. These I've shown in many of my videos, one of the most versatile mediums I use. And I'm going to bring in, I think, a tree shape, and it's going to kind of spread up to the top, and I'm going to bring it down here to the bottom so it kind of connects the top and bottom. Once again, always thinking about compositional devices to bring about certain amounts of unity and variety to the mix. And each of the shadings I've done so far, the acrylic ink, the watercolor and gouache, and now the mix with the water-soluble pastel, all bring different feels throughout the image. I've also got collage in here. I've taken out some magazine images where I've cut shapes of flowers, and now I'm pasting them down to the surface. I worked on this surface for about 3 or 4 days off and on, and always coming back and taking a look and seeing what other different element I can add. I really wanted to add the collage. It just gives one more different edge that you can see with the sharpness. And I also brought some oil pastel in and drew on top of the collage. You can see some of the lines that's in there. Going back now here with the water-soluble pastel and trying to make some other choices. We've been to a lot of botanical gardens, of course, as I've talked about before, and you often will find really interesting little things in the gardens. I keep thinking about some of the hybrids I saw, you know, part person, part animal, and I'm going to try to attempt that through memory today. I'm just going to draw in a portrait, a side portrait profile of some sort of person, and I'm going to see what I come up with. This starts nearly like a cartoon type sketch, but since I'm using water-soluble pastel, I'll be adding water to it, and it will bleed out a little more as I bring in the hair here. And now apply the water, and this really brings it together. That's the great thing about water-soluble pastel. The sketch can kind of look like just a contour drawing, kind of rough, but by adding water, it really starts to bring a dreamy aspect to it. I'm working up here to the end, so if you've liked the video today, please subscribe. Please leave comments, likes. I will get back to you in the comments as soon as I can. But anyway, that's going to be it for today. And as we leave here, I'm going to pull back to let you see the entire image in its completion. Okay, I hope everyone has a great day today, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.